Squad.
A very good evening to you. It's 7 minutes after 7. My name is Kobe Spiking Chroma and you're tuned in to Joy 99.7 FM on a Tuesday evening, probably in your car at home or in your office, waiting for traffic to die down before you leave. And if you're watching us live, it's probably on Facebook or YouTube. If you do want to watch us live, yes, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you cannot listen to the whole show now, you can find us later on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on the My Joy Online app, on Google Podcasts, on the Adom Online app, or you could just go to Facebook and just search for Joy Geek Squad with a hashtag. Go to YouTube, same thing, just search for Joy Geek Squad hashtag. And yeah, if you want to get interactive with us, it's on Twitter, hashtag Joy Geek Squad. Or you can send us a WhatsApp message on 055 11 11 997, 055 1111 997, 055 quadruple 1 997. So yes, we're here and we're going to be talking about the star 402 star 1 hash and all the issues creeping up after the announcement of a way to validate which SIM cards are connected to your Ghana card. I've checked mine and I saw a suspicious number, but yes, I did register that number for a friend who had come in from a different country. But I didn't find one other number. That raises concern. Like, did they not do the registration process right? And what happens to that number? And that number is in my MiFi. So, yeah, maybe they didn't do the registration process right. But I like that this is here now. So I mean, think about it. I would have been there then, boom, it's gone. Now, like, hey, what's happening? It's like, oh, your number wasn't registered. What? You know, but now I know that number. So tomorrow I'm going to Vodafone office, go and get things sorted out. But yeah, have you tried it, Michael? Have you tried it, Winston? And before I start talking to them, if you don't know, if this is the first time you're listening to the show, it's a geek squad. It's not a geek person. So yes, I do this usually with Michael Ajete, a.k.a. Majestic at Majete, and Mr. Watcher, our resident James May, if you're a Top Gear or Grand Tour fan. But yeah, he's no longer our resident James May, he's our resident Mr. Watcher. So he actually is a verb. Yeah, Winston is a verb. So the verb to Winston is to do things that would normally only be done by Winston. And the fact that I use normally in that sentence is actually very... Yeah, it doesn't fit.
The only thing normal about Winston is that he's a human being.
Wow. Oh, and he's Ash's dad.
Yeah. Ash is special.
So yes, welcome to the show, and we're glad that you're here with us, listening to us, and probably listening to us in the future if you're tuning back to listen to us on a podcast. Michael, have you tried star 402 star 1 hash? And
I did. No surprise numbers to be seen.
Wonderful.
Although I did wonder as I was doing, like, why do I have to go through so many loops and steps? Because it's asking for my Ghana card number, it's asking for my date of birth, and like, look, what ties me to myself as my identity is my Ghana card number, right? If I had a twin brother, the date of birth wouldn't split us. It's the Ghana card number that will. So why do I have that extra step in there? It's not as if I registered different date of birth with. And actually, another thing, they didn't take my date of birth. Sorry, they did take my date of birth when I filled in the form, but that is data that is already in the Ghana card anyway. Yeah. So you're taking double data to confirm something that should have been available for confirmation long ago. Because, as you recall, during the SIM registration, it tells you you're done, but then so many people had issues where they went and it wasn't done. It's even before all this wave of now other people stealing other people's numbers. But let me not get in there because I'm warmed up for this one.
Winston, have you tried it?
I did yesterday, actually.
And then?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions that we generally have after this entire brouhaha came up. So hopefully we'll be talking to someone who could potentially answer some of our questions. So I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to preempt it in the conversation in any way.
Right. So, but you tried it. No suspicious numbers.
Oh, no suspicious numbers. Was all good.
Okay, so if you're listening to us and you have tried it, let me know your feedback. How was it? Was it smooth? What did you find out? Did you find that you had too many numbers registered to your account or your Ghana card? And I'm exceptionally interested in those who registered SIM cards they used to track their vehicles. What a list that would be. Imagine you have a fleet. Oof. Wow.
Well, I remember when we had a conversation with one of the, I think it was an NIA person, or was it NTA? Yeah, no, it was an NTA person a year ago.
Right. Before
this, they did say each Ghana card could hold 10 phone numbers.
Right.
But a fleet of cars, they also said that businesses had a certain special or different way of registering some of these things. So I guess you tell them that it's for a business, and then they go through.
Right.
You go through all of that.
Cool. So we're going to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, Winston will head us with the news. Then we will start the conversation proper. We'll be right back after this break.
Doing gets you learning. Learning starts you wondering. Wondering triggers thinking. Thinking becomes planning. Planning evolves to trying. After trying, you're succeeding, winning, owning. Now, doing that starts with outdoing your limits. Outdo them all with MTN. So, what are we doing today?
Well, I'm sure you're very startled by that, but we are still on Geek Squad, and it's time,
producer.
It's time for the news. So first, Apple and Google are working together to limit AirTag stalking. Now, if you don't know about AirTags, they are these tiny devices that Apple allows you buy. I mean, Apple is not the only one who has it. Samsung has like Galaxy Tabs, but these are devices that you put into your wallet, your bag, or your key holder to be able to track it, no matter what it is, in case you lose it. Now, when the AirTags were released, there had been a very huge rise in people being stalked or followed home by assailants who had slipped their own AirTags into people's cars. So now, Apple and Google are coming together to work on a new system that would alert anybody if there's an AirTag on you, regardless of whether you're using an iPhone or not, using Bluetooth system, which is something we talked about years ago when this AirTag matter came out. So yes, they are finally going to do it. It will alert you via Bluetooth, because most of these devices are Bluetooth based. So whether it's an AirTag, Galaxy Tag, Tile, any other type of tracking device would have to use the Bluetooth
because
system.
The AirTag one was working with iPhones, where it will tell you there's an AirTag nearby.
Yes.
But if you're using an Android, it can't tell you. And if you're using a Samsung, you have to go through steps to actually scan for it. And it'll let you know if it's one. But if you're using an AirTag and you're using a Samsung, then you can't track. So this is actually good news. For those who have been slipping it in their girlfriend's bags and tracking them, and then those who've been slipping in their boyfriend's cars and tracking them, we will catch you.
I wonder if the engineers, as they are doing this, every 10 seconds they say, if you're doing this with AirTags, you can also do this with iMessage.
Anyway, so next in the news. So last week we talked about Blue Sky. Yes. Which is the
Jack
Dorsey's new social media,
founder and CEO of Twitter.
Yeah, so his new social media platform, Blue Sky, has gone viral, which is very shocking because we thought that there would not be a new rave for a new social media platform. But I think the strategy, he's using the OnePlus strategy, where it is an invite-based system. Yeah. So you can only get on Blue Sky if you get an invite from someone who's been on Blue Sky. Now, the interesting thing about getting an invite when you are on Blue Sky is that you get one invite de facto every 2 weeks. But if you're extremely active on the app a lot, you get more invites. So
Sunshine is
yeah, Sunshine is
so she invited you.
I told her today that, what, for work purposes, I don't know what I'm going to do there, but
ladies and gentlemen, this is Winston.
So next, so your favorite TV show or series and maybe movies are at risk. So the Writers Guild Association has officially gone on strike today. Now you may be wondering what this has got to do with tech.
Wait, but Writers Guild where?
The Writers Guild in Hollywood.
Right.
Has gone on a strike. Now you may be wondering what this has got to do with tech. Well, the reason this is very important is because, one, the previous strike by the Writers Guild happened in 2007 and it cost California over $2.1 billion.
Wow.
It was a 100-day strike that cost them $2.1 billion.
So over 3 months.
Yes. Now, the writers in question are asking for an increase in their pay because since streaming became a boom, their pay was reduced because most shows do not go to 24 episodes again. If you remember Arrow and Vampire's Diary, they were 24 episodes, but right now shows are 8 episodes, 10, 12, then we are done. So I'm not paying you. Why should I pay you for 24 episodes when you're only writing for 8 or 10? Yeah, so they have reduced their pay and they don't get as much royalties from these shows on streaming platforms like they did on traditional television. And the final kink in all of this is AI, because the Writers Guild has asked the authorities to create regulations that prevent these studios from using things they had written in the past, feeding it to AIs so that they can create new shows. So this is what the Writers Guild are asking, but the authorities say no. So they are on strike right now.
Wow. AI is bringing a lot of things.
Yeah, so it means people who watch shows like Saturday Night Live, I do, and Jimmy Fallon and stuff, these late night shows, all those shows are going to be affected immediately because those shows are written on a weekly basis.
Right.
Yes, so sorry if you watch those shows.
Well, interestingly, AI is coming for people's jobs.
Yeah. There's a lot more AI news now, but before we jump into the AI news,
right.
So you guys remember last week SpaceX launched the biggest rocket type thing, right? Everything,
and it blew up.
It blew up. It was a failure, but it was considered a success because it actually launched. Now there's a brewing problem because that launch has sparked an environmental investigation, because apparently that launch caused a lot of devastation to the area that was found in. First off, the launch pad was utterly decimated.
Solid concrete.
Yes, was utterly decimated. And because it was decimated and all that propulsion force, it dug the ground and spread so much dust that it spread for miles.
Isn't this something we experience here all the time?
Well, that's not. So typically, the launch pad is not supposed to be damaged at all.
It's the dust I'm talking about.
Yes, but it's an environmental issue. So the FAA...
For years, Adenta has been dealing with dust and they are not complaining about environmental issues.
Yeah, so the Federal Aviation Authority has been taken to court over a lawsuit concerning this environmental situation. So
I mean, it caused a significant amount of damage. It destroyed cars that were parked
around.
How did it destroy them?
The debris.
So it was breaking glass.
Yeah.
And everything.
Not just breaking, literally launching rocks from.
Yeah.
And then
and it dug a very deep trench.
Actually, if you watch the launch, you notice that some of the rockets went on. That's because those rockets got damaged by its own launch pad because the launch pad wasn't strong enough to hold it in.
So, case. Now to
I just wish we lived in a country where we could have such legal battles as well.
Like pour sand in my house. So.
Yeah, like somebody can pour sand for. Today I was driving and then somebody had offloaded tires in the middle of the road.
Lawsuits.
And they were packing it into their, warehouse, quote unquote, and for hours.
Winter tires, no.
Second-hand tires, and you can't offload them on the main road. What a lawsuit that would have been.
What a nice world that would have been.
So next is so now we are diving into AI proper. Experts have warned that AI creators actually need to study the human consciousness. So you remember the likes of Elon Musk and some other people, Steve Wozniak had written an open letter to OpenAI to everybody that they need to relax on the AI stuff. Well, other educators and experts in psychology and stuff have said that we need to pause AI because people who are making AI need to study consciousness. Now, this is extremely important because till this day, the humanity does not understand our own consciousness. We do not understand our own sentience. We don't even understand why we sleep and wake up or what dreams are. But you've created something that learns at an extremely rapid rate. What if just learning is a sign of consciousness? We don't know. So that's why they are asking that.
So to tell us when it finds out.
But by that time, it is over. It is petabyte head consciousness. What I come to do to it?
No, we're not coming to. It's going to tell us.
Who is going to tell you?
The AI.
So if the AI is conscious, why will it tell you?
It's going to tell us about our consciousness.
But by that time, it has overconscious you. So, Akpasho.
But that's the thing. What makes you think that it's becoming conscious means that it doesn't need us anymore?
What makes us think that it does need us?
So that's why the question is, why are we always thinking about it as half empty and not half full?
Well,
the glass is half, period.
Yeah, as long as it's half, we should be wondering where the other half is and what we can do if the other half comes.
So let's not talk about it like it's half empty.
So let's put it in the fridge. When we figure out whether we'll drink it or we'll fill it.
It doesn't mean that atmospheric won't have an effect on it.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's because I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of it, but there's a very valid point there. And it's... So
AI
finally...
for the win.
Well, AI for the win. But finally, the godfather of AI, or one of the godfather of AI, quits Google, and with regrets and fears about his life's work.
I elite.
So his name is Geoffrey Hinton, and he won a Nobel Peace Prize for computing for his trailblazing work on neural networks, which are the foundations of all AI frameworks. So he is one of the progenitors of AI. And he is now, so since he has left Google, he is now free to talk about the risks of AI. Now, there's a whole matter about him leaving Google because people are saying that he left Google so that he could actually snitch on Google. But he actually came out with a tweet to say that, to be honest, he's looked at the entire industry and Google is the only one playing it safe. And that we actually need to put a stop, like we need to chill on this, because he said, I mean, people from IBM have talked about how 30% of their workforce can be replaced by AI now. So these are current problems and so Geoffrey Hinton is not particularly happy about what he's doing. And it doesn't help that many tech companies today are firing the ethics board of their AI company. So the people who are responsible for making sure that this thing checks out have been fired. And finally, he does blame OpenAI for all of this. He said that everybody was calmly and peacefully doing their AI in their garage peacefully. Then OpenAI came to bring ChatGPT. Now, because of this thing, capitalism, everybody has to respond. So everybody is in a hurry. Nobody is doing the necessary checks, and they are just releasing stuff.
I'm laughing because I just saw an image that Michael sent into the group, and
yes.
So that's it for the news. Do I get it's played again at the end?
I don't know.
Which version is he going to play? The original one or the...
He's just DJing our soundtracks.
Okay.
Thank you, Abeku. So thank you for the news, Winston. And now on to the conversation proper, where we're going to be talking about the SIM registration, verification, and Michael, why? So I'm on the Ministry of Information Twitter, and I've seen the flyers that have been shared.
Is it a Ministry of Information or Communication?
Ministry of Information.
Okay.
Where it's telling you dial *402*1# to check the number of SIMs linked to your Ghana card.
But is this system, was it created by the Ministry of Communication? Because they are the ones who asked us to register our SIM cards. So is it the Ministry of Information just doing its job?
Well, we're going to have a conversation with people that will give us these answers. But before that, MTN wishes to inform all its valued customers to re-register their SIM numbers as directed by the regulator, the National Communication Authority. All unregistered phone numbers will be disconnected permanently by the 31st of May 2023. Complete your registration at any MTN service center to avoid disconnection permanently, and stay connected everywhere you go.
What happened to the app?
That's a question for those who can answer it. So yes, for individual SIM registrations, if you wish to delink any number from the list of registered numbers you receive after using a short code or the USSD, kindly visit your service provider customer care shop, not agents specifically, with your Ghana card, and they'll delink it. And one of the first tweets that I see over here is that someone got the message, sorry, the Ghana card number provided does not match with the registered details. Kindly check and enter the correct information. He says, keeps telling me my Ghana card doesn't match registration details. So what you also need to know is that when you are entering the data, it has to follow they give you
the Ghana card
format. The Ghana card format
without the hyphens.
Well, mine asked me for the hyphens.
Mine asked for the hyphens.
Mine didn't ask for the hyphens.
Oh,
how's that?
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Consistent performance. Here we go.
Oh!
I heard somewhere that you don't enter the hyphens.
Yeah, hold on, guys. When did you guys do this?
Today. Yes.
I did mine yesterday. Maybe that's the difference.
Because I saw on the flyer that was shared that you do it without hyphens.
Yes.
So I was expecting to do it without hyphens. Then I saw the formats that had been shown in the USSD reply that
you should add the hyphens.
I should add a hyphen. So I just entered it with the hyphens. And
what network was this?
For me, I did it on my MTN.
Yours is on
MTN is still asking for hyphens.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check on my Airtel Tigo.
Well, I didn't try it on my Vodafone.
Okay.
So whilst we're discussing this, I want anyone who's tried it, *402 *1 hash. Try it, dial it right now, and enter your Ghana card details. Fill the forms, go through everything. Oh, I forgot we're in the box. In the studio, my network is very terrible because
mine says without hyphens.
So Airtel Tigo says without hyphens.
Yeah, mine says without hyphens.
Okay, so here's our first. Okay, so Vodafone also says without hyphens, and MTN says with hyphens.
Yeah.
So here's our first issue.
So consistent performance. Here we go.
So yes, Vodafone if you're listening and you're using Vodafone without hyphens, if you're using MTN with hyphens, if you're using Airtel Tigo without hyphens, do we still have Glow?
I think we still do.
So anybody using Glow who'd like to share with us the feedback they get, 055 111 997, 055 1111 997, 055 1111 997. Try it, *402 *1 hash. Check all the numbers that are linked with your Ghana card and let us know.
Producer said that his with MTN comes with hyphens as well.
Yeah, I've seen that. So the producers, so MTN seems to ask you for the hyphens, but Airtel, Tigo, and Vodafone no hyphens. Okay, so we're going to be joined in a bit by the NCA communications head to answer some of the questions that all of you have. And yes, we're sure that we will get clarity on all this. Okay, so she's with us right now. So very good evening.
Hi, hello, good evening.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, as usual, whenever there's new developments in the area of technology, our show likes to educate people and tell them what is up, and also try to demystify some of the tech issues that they encounter. And as with this one, we've already seen people complaining that they're seeing numbers that are not connected to their account, and some people going through the steps and getting feedback that their Ghana cards do not match what's in the database. So, I mean, clearly there's an educational gap sometimes, and some people may be doing the wrong thing. But right now, we're joined by you, and we want you to educate us on, first off, what's the purpose of this step?
All right. Okay, so as we conceptualize the SIM registration exercise, one of the processes of the SIM registration exercise was that at a certain stage within the project life cycle, people would have access to the central SIM register to be able to check the SIMs that have been registered to their name. Now, if you just let me explain a bit. You know, before we started the SIM registration and exercise, each of the various MNOs, right, or the SIM issuing companies like the MTN, Vodafone, Airtel, Tigo, Telisol, and all those companies, each of them had their own SIM databases or their individual SIM registers, right, and which had your information there. What the SIM registration exercise sought to do was to create a national central SIM register, which would have fully registered details of all SIMs on that central register.
Right.
So that's what we've tried. That's one of the aim of this exercise. So we would be able to, as it were, create a secure environment for transactions within the digital space to go on as we move towards the digital economy and all that. It will also help security and law enforcement people to also be able to track and trace people who have committed fraudulent activities, right? And if they may have used a SIM card for that activity, to be able to trace them. Another thing we also wanted to do was to make sure that even the financial transactions, there's a lot of these transactions are migrated onto the mobile space, right? So these mobile transactions, and indeed a lot of access to services and delivery of certain services are all via mobile cellular activity or the SIM. So what we sought to do was, as Ghana was moving towards this digital economy, was to create that space, to make that space secure. And I think by and large, we have achieved what we have set out to do. We still have some way to go, but we have achieved, we are on the way to finishing. So the SIM short code that we have actually outdoored, the star 402, was outdoored yesterday. This was conceptualized, as I told you earlier on. We waited for people to be able to register their SIMs, a lot of the SIMs, before we gave this out, so that people will be able to check what is in the SIM database. Now, before the SIM registration exercise, if you wanted to check the SIMs that belong to you as a subscriber on the database that sat with your service provider, there was no way of knowing all the SIMs that belonged to you, even on a network-by-network basis.
True.
What you could do was probably to do the star 400 hash, and then it would show you on that particular SIM that you use that short code for, it will show you the status of that SIM and then the registration details that you use to register that SIM.
Right.
So, but this star 402 star 1 hash gives you access to a central place where you are able to pull out all the SIM cards that have been linked to your Ghana card for you to be able to review. And if there are any gray areas there, you then go the next mile of taking the steps to the service provider and then deleting or delinking those things from your Ghana card.
Right.
Can I go on? I still have a bit of an explanation to do.
You can.
All right. So, and again, when we started the SIM registration exercise, and because this is a tech platform, I'm sure it will be easy for people to visualize what I'm saying. When we started the SIM registration exercise, I think it should be easy for people to visualize all SIMs that were in operations in Ghana into a certain pool called existing SIMs, right?
Right.
These SIMs had been registered with various IDs. The Ghana card, the passport, the DVLA, and other things. Now, the registration of these SIMs before we started this exercise on 1st October 2021, that registration of these SIMs was done by a short code, which the agents of the MNOs used. So you would go to an agent and tell the agent that you want to register a SIM card. You give him your ID, and then he will text your ID details through a particular short code that only the agents had access to, and register a SIM for you. And that SIM will then be in that pool of existing SIMs. So when we started the SIM registration exercise, right, all these existing SIMs had to be re-registered using the SIM registration app, which is on a smartphone. Well, we got a petition from the mobile network operators that a lot of their agents did not have smartphones, and so they pleaded with us not to cut off or stop the legacy registration. That is the registration via the SMS, right? And that they would do that, and then they would make sure that the people will go on to do the new SIM registration. So NCA actually gave them that approval, and that letter was written to them on the 1st of October 2021. So what happened was that as the service providers, as the agents were registering people, some of these unscrupulous and agents decided to store some of the details of the Ghana card of people who were doing the new SIM registration, the star 404, right? When they got the details of these Ghana cards, what they did was that they then used the old short code for registering SIM, the legacy registration, and then they would register new SIMs into that pool of existing SIMs, right? Using other people's Ghana cards.
Right.
I hope you get where I'm coming from. Yes. So once they have used, let's say, my Ghana card to use the old registration to put a SIM in my Ghana card, that Ghana card is in the existing pool of SIMs with the MNOs. And so when that Ghana card, the service provider, what he does is, the agent does is that they then do the star 404. But because they had the details, the star 404 would come. And then it would say that, yes, indeed, that Ghana card is valid. However, and this is very important, however, they could not go on to do the stage 2 of the SIM registration exercise because that required a liveness and a likeness check of the Ghana card matching the owner of the Ghana card. So most of these issues that we are seeing from people who are saying that they've seen some SIMs attached to their Ghana card, it is only for stage 1, right? And it is not for stage 2.
Okay.
Again, no data has been breached because the unscrupulous agents who did it themselves in wherever they are, those who were on the streets, and they did it themselves. They did not access any database to pull out anyone's data. Right. So this is very important for people to know that the central SIM data is only accessed by the operators. Right. And from yesterday, it is only it is now the subscribers who can now access it to pull out the SIMs that are registered in their names. We've actually done some monitoring and tests, and we can be sure that all the numbers that people are seeing that are linked to their Ghana cards that they see now are not for the stage 2, and it is for those legacy registrations that some of these unscrupulous agents did. But it is also not a problem because all what a consumer can has to do is that they just go to the service provider with their Ghana card and tell them that I do not want these things attached to my Ghana card, so kindly delink them from my Ghana card so that they have a clean sheet. We are sure that as we've come out with a short code and as people go on checking on the short code and checking the number of SIMs linked to their Ghana card, they will go on and then they remove the unwanted SIMs. In some cases, some people may even have registered the SIMs themselves, but they do not want those SIMs. And they can also go through the same process and also delink the SIMs.
Right.
The other thing you talked about too was the fact that some people had actually also done the star 402 and were not getting the feedback.
Yeah.
We like to urge people to kindly be patient with us. There is a lot of traffic on that particular short code. And for one of the MNOs, which has a lot of subscribers, there is a lot of traffic on that short code. So as people do it and become satisfied, the traffic on that short code is likely, it will go down. People will, be able to get the feedback. But again, I would like to encourage people that once they are keying in the data to check their details, they should kindly make sure that they key in the right details of their Ghana card.
Okay, so right off of the last statement you made, keying the right details of the Ghana card, we made an observation right here a few moments ago about, because when I saw the flyer online, it said when you're entering your Ghana card details, you enter it without the hyphens. But we've noticed that MTN does accept the hyphens. So, and Vodafone and Airtel Tigo do not. Is there...
Okay. There's no... If you recall, when we did when we began the SIM registration exercise, and we did the star 404, again, some of the service providers decide to make it easier for subscribers so that even if you left out the hyphens, it will still go through.
Okay.
So I think that the system has been provisioned in such a way that for that particular service provider, it's been programmed in such a way that it's able to recognize the hyphens or without the hyphens, and you'll still be able to go through.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. Okay, so another question. So let's say I find a number that's connected to my account that I do not want to continue having on my account, and I go to report it for it to be delinked. Will that SIM continue to work?
So if you go and report for it to be linked, to be delinked, what a service provider will do is that they will go through a KYC with you, make sure that yes, you are indeed the owner of that Ghana card, and then who is coming to delink the SIM. After they've done that KYC and then they've assured themselves that you are that person, then they will then delink from their database. And after they have delinked it from deactivated it from their database, they will then update that information to the National Central SIM Register for that to be also removed from the National SIM Register. And so at the end of the day, it will actually be deactivated totally from the network.
Okay. So just a follow-up question to that. So assuming I have a friend who comes in from a different country and I buy a SIM card for them, registered in my name, they use it for a while and they leave, can I go and get that SIM delinked? Or if
Yes.
I can?
Yes, you can go and get that SIM delinked. But for people who are visiting Ghana, they can also register for a SIM card using their foreign passport. Right. And so you do not need to register a SIM for somebody else, because the SIM registration exercise has actually made provision for categories of people, individuals like you and myself, who are Ghanaians, resident here, and then for businesses or non-individuals, let's say entities, commercial entities, they are they use a different kind of registration. They use a Ghana card, but they use a company registration as well, so that when you do the SIM registration, you look at it, that category of SIMs are classified as business SIMs. Then the third category is the foreign, the visitors to Ghana, temporary visitors to Ghana. They can use their foreign passports to register for a SIM card, and that SIM card will be active for 90 days. One thing that I'd like to say is that the NCA is also going to begin an audit at the service providers to make sure that all these directives that we have given the service providers are actually being complied with. And to make it easy for the audit team and to streamline the data that we have there, that's why we have now given subscribers a chance to check, so that at least we can clean the data before we begin the actual audit work.
Great. So another question. Is there an option to report a SIM that has been linked to your card without going to the telco office? So assuming I'm not in the country and I realize that there's a number that has been connected to my account and I can't make it there, or I'm old and I can't leave my home, is there a way I can do this, since they have to do KYC?
Yes. Actually, to be very honest with you, when we conceptualize the Star 402, or the whole process where people would be able to delink it, we had different scenarios, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, one of the scenarios we had was for people to be able to either do the delinking from the comfort of their home, just like they did the Star 404, or request for a delinking process. But having learned the hard way about how unscrupulous some people are, we want, for the start, right, to keep it as we have done now, and so that people will be required, and this I must really ask people to bear with us, that we want people to go there for the physical KYC to be done. We will still be monitoring the situation, and once we are sure that we are getting the right actions or actions that we want from the public or subscribers, we may go to the second stage where people can actually request for a delinking process, or probably do the delinking themselves from the comfort of their homes.
Great. Winston, Michael, you guys have questions?
Yeah, just a few.
Okay.
Hello, Madam Doofy.
Hi, hello, good evening.
Yes. So I wanted to ask I think you called it the legacy linking, the star.
The legacy registration system.
Legacy. Yes, that one. How long?
That's not the star. That's not the star 404. Please remember, before we started this SIM registration exercise, there was the way they used to register SIMs using a particular short code. I think there were different short codes for each of the service providers.
Yeah. So sorry about that, but I wanted to know.
No worries.
How long does that keep your SIM card afloat? Because I think you mentioned.
How long does it keep it afloat? I don't understand.
I think you mentioned that certain telcos mentioned the fact that they didn't have enough smartphones for their agents to fully undertake the registration exercise. So they pleaded with you to make sure to keep that system still afloat till they were able to meet the demand or finally register everybody. So I wanted to ask if that legacy registration, how long does it keep your SIM out of being disconnected, or reassigned? That
legacy system has been it has stopped. We've issued a directive for it to stop, and I think one thing I should make clear is that if a new SIM was bought, right, and registered using that legacy registration, it goes into the pool of existing and registered SIM cards that are in use. And if you recall, last week the NCA had a press conference where we mentioned that the SIMs in that category number around 11 million SIMs. And we've also given a deadline up to the 31st of May, that after the end of 31st of May, if these 11 million SIMs have not done the full registration, these SIMs will be cut off. So it's not a matter of fact that once a SIM has been registered using the legacy registration, it's going to be afloat or you'll be kept from any deactivation process. No. Every SIM that has not completed a SIM registration is in a pool of existing SIMs which are active but unregistered, and they have up to the 11th of May and the 31st of May to finish the registration. Otherwise, they will be deactivated from the networks.
Okay. So then there's a follow-up question to that. So if that was based on what you described, you said most of the people whose numbers have been linked to other people's Ghana cards illegitimately, most of these people fell in that category, the legacy registration. So would it be also okay that we just leave it till 31st, and when all those numbers are just removed from the system, would that naturally just delink them from your Ghana card?
Okay, so if it happens like that, I wouldn't know, right? Let's say the NCO or your service provider would not know which of the SIMs are SIMs that you yourself registered, and then the ones that somebody may have fraudulently registered in your name. That is why the short code star 402 is very important, because it gives you, the owner of the Ghana card, the opportunity to identify and determine which SIM you registered yourself, and to be able to identify the SIMs that you did not register. So you can now tell the service provider that these are the SIMs that I didn't register, but I see linked to my Ghana card, so I want them delinked. Or I even registered these SIMs, but I've realized that I don't need a SIM, so you can please delink them from my Ghana card for me.
Okay, so if we are getting you straight, you are employing everybody to actually go through this process so that they can actually choose the numbers they want to keep on there.
Yes. Okay. And it's a collective responsibility from the part of the NCA managing this SIM registration project, from the service providers who are partners in this, and also to the subscribers who use the SIM card. So it is actually a collective responsibility. We can't do it on our own. We cannot determine which SIM card you registered or which ones you want to keep and all that. So everybody has a role to play in this.
Okay. Great. So another question that almost all our listeners would want to know: do you have any probable estimated time when you have to go into the telco to do your KYC? I believe that's what you called it.
No, yes, we do not have any deadline for people, but because we want to because we want to, at the end of the exercise, although it is 31st May for the registration, after the 31st May, we will still be working behind the scenes, still tying things up and doing our audits and making sure that the data on the MNO SIM register sync or are synchronized with the data on the national SIM register. So we will still be working. And as we're still working, we encourage people that people should, as a matter of fact, please do the 402. And if there are any discrepancies, you kindly visit the service provider and address those discrepancies.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Madam Dufie. We're going to read some of our WhatsApp messages, and hopefully maybe if there are questions that require your answering, then you'd help us answer them. So first one is from Wisdom from Kaswa. He says, good evening, geeks. Why are we here in the first place? Is this SIM re-registration not supposed to prevent what is happening now? Were we not told that the re-registration will ensure every SIM card is officially connected to the legitimate owner? Was this not heralded as a way to curb the fraudulent activities that are associated with SIM ownership? Why do we see ordinary people still selling SIM cards across the streets with SIM card purchases when SIM card purchases should be limited to the network providers' offices? Why are we repeating the same missteps over and over again? When will Ghana treat privacy and security? Seriously, lots of questions. Day by day, my hope for this country, ever progressing technology diminishes, and it's really sad.
I believe that my explanation may have answered some of the questions. The fact that that legacy registration has stopped, and then the fact that after the 31st of May, there will be no registration of any existence. The only registrations that will occur after 31st of May will be for new SIMs, and that will be by the SIM registration app. And so, yes, we will not have these issues where people are using legacy registrations to fraudulently register people and all that.
Okay. So will there also be any punishment for the unscrupulous people to deter them from doing this?
It's interesting that you asked that. You know, there's a whole supply chain when it comes to the distribution and then the sale of SIM cards. And yes, I'm sure that the service providers actually are able to trace and know the chain where it gets to. There's been instances where some of the service providers actually have sanctioned or have given out punitive measures to some of the agents who've been found guilty in this. So the NCA will work with the service providers to see how best this issue will be addressed.
Great. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll read your final messages. But before that, MTN wishes to inform all its valued customers to re-register their SIM cards as directed by the regulator, the National Communications Authority. All unregistered phone numbers will be disconnected permanently by the 31st of May 2023. Complete a registration at any MTN service center to avoid disconnection permanently and stay connected everywhere you go. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Doing gets you learning. Learning starts you wondering. Wondering triggers thinking. Thinking becomes planning. Planning evolves to trying. After trying, you're succeeding, winning, owning. Now, doing that starts with outdoing your limits. Outdo them all with MTN. So, what are we doing today?
And we're back. So we just had a conversation with Madame Nana Dufie Bedu. She's the NCA Director of Consumer and Corporate. And we're very glad that she could answer most of our questions, all of our questions, except those that are now coming in. My name is Mame. She says she tried *402*1# on Airtel Tigo, and it asked for the Ghana card number without the hyphens. And it gave me only the SIMs on Airtel Tigo. I tried it on MTN and it asked for hyphens, but it didn't work. But when I entered the Ghana card number without hyphens, still on MTN, it worked. And the SMS that I received gave me all numbers linked to my card on all networks. You know, there's also a thing I noticed about certain hyphens. Certain hyphens are not really hyphens. Depends on the kind of characters that your keyboard is entering.
Yeah, that's true.
So Nana Kwesi says, Kobe, regardless of the history Madam has taken us through, it doesn't defeat the fact that they are the root cause of what is manifesting. Nana Kwesi. But I mean, some of the explanation, hello geeks, NIA is not serious at all. You couldn't allow us to register with our phones, but now you created a mess, yet you want us to do corrections. Ghana card is comprised. Is not fit for compromised. It's not fit for purpose. It must be audited to fix the problem. From Rahul ad. Okay. And my Vodafone number, although linked to my NI card, has been blocked. That's from Kofi and Michelle Camp. So Kofi, I think maybe you'd have to go to Vodafone to resolve that. But yes, that shouldn't happen.
I think just to point out clearly what Madame Dufi Bedu mentioned is that this thing that's going on has nothing to do with the database, the secure database of all the phone numbers that we have. It's just people who use the old, back then we had two-step stages in registering our SIM cards. But most of those people have only done the first stage.
Right.
So that's why she's asking that everybody should go through this new process, simply because the telco does not know if you want to keep that number or not. The number is linked to your Ghana card. We can talk about how we ended up here, and that's cool, but now we are here. So now, to solve this issue, everybody actually has to do it and figure out if they really do want to keep these numbers or not. So
yeah, and what if somebody actually did put a number on your Ghana card
and is using it freely, and then they come for some fraud thing, and you are the one that it's your Ghana card?
What explanation are you going to explain it?
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly address Rahul's message that remember, this is not an NIA issue, it's an NCA issue.
Because well, there's an N and there's an A.
Yeah, but they're two different organizations.
Yeah.
So
I guess, well, one day we'd have to get both of them.
We should have both of them on the show to talk this thing out, because there's a lot of confusion as to who's what and what's
responsibility
is what, and whose data is leaked and whose isn't.
I agree. So once again, for the last time, MTN says I should tell you to re-register your SIM card as directed by the regulator, the National Communications Authority. All unregistered phone numbers will be disconnected permanently by the 31st of May, the end of this month. You've got 29 days to go. In fact, less than 29, because the day's almost ended.
Where unregistered means that even those who did only the first stage, your number 2, they go.
Yeah.
So you have to
complete your registration at any MTN service center to avoid disconnection permanently. Like, your number is gone. And yeah, if you do that, you'll stay connected everywhere you go. So yes, all too soon the show is up. 7:59. That means that we have to draw the curtains on Geek Squad for today. Shout out to Emmanuel Amakwando in Silicon Valley, who was watching us.